All righty. It looks like the recording has started. Welcome to February's rainy Teams Talk Tuesday. Oh, and happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, don't forget, today is Valentine's Day. My kids fortunately reminded me so I could get something for the wife. Anyway, if you're new to Teams Talk Tuesday, it's just a collaborative. We're going to hopefully interact here, but the format of Teams Talk Tuesday. The first part, we'll talk about what's new in Teams. And last month, we added what's the new thing we did this year is some stuff that's coming soon to Teams. This is important because as things change in Teams, it's kind of good to know that it's coming up. So when it does happen, we're just not caught off guard. The second part, we highlight a feature. And the third part's a question and answer. But I think the feature today is really important, and this is one of the reasons I'm recording it, because a lot of you guys, I know some names here that I've seen. Richard Schroll there, we've known each other for over 40 years from working years ago together. But when I started at the University of Missouri back in '85, eventually we got a consolidated email system. And ever since we got email, it doesn't seem that the way we use email has changed. And this is 2023, and we have a lot of other things that we can do. So we're going to talk about zero inbox, how we might be able to maintain a zero inbox in email, which I'm sure would make campus happy. So let's just start with what's new in Teams. Okay, let me share my screen here. I'm going to do a share screen, and I'm going to go ahead. I don't need my computer sound. So here is my screen, and I'm going to go ahead and pop open the meeting here. You all might have noticed across the top, there's a new meeting toolbar. You might have noticed that. You'll have raised hands is out here, your reaction. When you click on more, I call it the meatball menu. When you click on more, the three dots, you'll see that this is more compact now. So you can come down to language and speech, and you can turn on. I have live captions running here at the bottom. One thing you may not know about, unless you have played around with Teams meeting, the three dots over beside the live caption, you can have it translate in your own language. So if you're more comfortable in a different language, I'll be speaking in English, but you can change that to a different language. Something that's coming out while I'm in here, on the raised hand, if you raise your hand, it will stay up, and it puts them in order of raised hands. Like if Tiffany and Rich and Milo all raise their hands, it'll put it in order of who raised hands first. But the new feature is, let's say Tiffany had her hand raised. As soon as she starts speaking to me, she unmutes her mic and starts speaking. You can have that setting set to automatically lower your hand for you. So that's a new feature coming out to automatically lower your hand. Something else that I had mentioned before, some of you all got on here, one of the new apps that you can have in your meeting, and of course you would do this before you start your meeting, where you can add an application. One of the applications is to games. It's called Games for Work app. So maybe you can set up one of the games that they have. So if you do a search for your apps, it's called Games for Work app. But maybe you want to have people interact during your meeting. This is kind of an icebreaker way of doing it. And I might try this next month in Teams Talk Tuesday. For those of you guys who get here early, I usually get on about 1:45. Maybe we'll have a game running if I have people on here. So it's called Games for Work app. Something else that's new, or it's fairly new, and maybe you all have seen it. Let me open up my team, the actual team itself. In a chat message, when you start a new chat here, you can, and I don't know if I can do this within a, let me see if I can do it while I'm in a meeting here. So I could type a message, and if I right click on the send, yeah, I can schedule a time to send it now. If you right click on the arrow, let's say that somebody asked me a question, it's after hours. And while I'm thinking about it, I want to go ahead and give them an answer, but I don't want to bother them after hours, where I can say, schedule this to send tomorrow after 8 o'clock. And then I can say, go ahead and send it at scheduled time, and it won't show up for them until after that time. Okay. Another thing you can do is, rather than typing or having a video meeting, you can actually now, I'm in a meeting now, so I can't use this. I can't use the video clips. It's not available during the meeting in calls, but right beside the send, you'll see a camera there. And I've used this. I send they can see my expression and maybe my hand gestures, but you can actually send a video, little video clip to the person now, like a little Snapchat, I guess. I don't know. So that's available. Another thing you might notice, I use Teams all the time. I use Teams meeting. But when you go to your calendar, now when you go to schedule a meeting, like if I click on tomorrow is Wednesday, if I click on tomorrow at 1 o'clock, it will actually pop out the window. Okay, it used to be kind of just take over the Teams within Teams, but now it pops it out, so I can always go back and look or take it to another screen, and I can kind of set up the meeting. But that's just kind of a new feature, is to automatically pop out your new meeting window. Something else that's new, and I'm kind of going through this halfway quick because I want to get to the good stuff, but this is good stuff. I'm gonna go out to office.com. I'm not sure if you all use bookings. I use bookings all the time, but if you go to office.com, trying to sign me in, and I should have been signed in here. All right. So let's get signed in. It's bookings with me. So people can book you without you having to send out a calendar. We've had the bookings app, and that was more for services that you might offer, like I do for the training. But now if I go to bookings, you can set up your own personal bookings, and we're going to have training coming out for that soon. But now you have a personal bookings page where you can set up your own. If I go to my booking page, my personal one, I'll have a public and a private one that I can set those up for different things that I might do as an individual. So that is new. The last thing I want to show you what is new is actually, let me go to my Edge, and I'm in Edge here. So if I go to the University of Missouri website, I'm just going to go to missouri.edu. Hey, how about them Chiefs? Okay. If I go to a university website, something that you can do in Edge is you can put the read in front of a web address, and it will turn on Immersive Reader for you. So if I go to the top up here, in front of this whole HTTPS, if I hit home and I type read and then : / and hit enter, it puts it in reader mode, and then it comes with some, I can read it aloud. So it turns it into an immersive reader. There's some grammar tools. So this is good for accessibility, right? So any web page that's set up for that, and I just noticed Missouri was, but you might try other web pages that you do for accessibility. But like I said, it'll read the web page to you, and it has some other features. So now what's coming soon? That's kind of what's new. There's some other things that's what's new, but I mentioned about the Teams meeting, and that's supposed to be coming out in March, about lowering your hands once the person has spoken. One thing I want to show you can also do, let me see if it's available. You can design images on the fly. So if I go to designer.microsoft.com, Microsoft Designer, join the wait list. Okay, so it's going to be, you could give it like, you want to see a tiger in front of the MU columns in Chiefs gear. So that design is not actually already there. It with AI, artificial intelligence, it creates whatever you tell it to create. So you might come here to designer.microsoft.com, and here's some demonstrations on what it's going to do. Use blank canvas, you type in what you want, you can create your own designs. Okay. And then if you have a license for Designer itself, it'll take it into Designer for you, but you can create If you're creative, you can create design. The last thing I will mention is this OpenAI, this Chat GPT, and I'm going to put a link in our little chat that we have going here in our meeting chat. Let me open up the chat, and I'm going to put something in there. You'll start hearing a lot about this from Microsoft. It's going to be coming out in Windows 12 automation, but right now there's already a new Chat GPT that's powered by Bing, and it's really interesting. But I'll just say, if you haven't heard about it yet, you heard it here first. I'm going to put that link in our chat today. It's already going out to this Bing, this Chat GPT that's powered by Bing. It's going out to some select users, me, and I'm not one of them. So how about we jump right into how we can rethink how we do email. And I've been doing this now for about a month, but let me pop open a PowerPoint just kind of to introduce this. Okay, so this article, I don't know how long it's been out, for a few months at least. I was talking to the University of Florida, and they gave the same presentation. I do a lot of collaboration with Florida. But this J.D. Meyer, he says he had an article, how I kept a zero email inbox at Microsoft for 25 years. And no, he didn't have a rule set up to say all incoming mail go right to the trash. And he actually was able to keep his employment there as well. But it's the way he thought about email 25 years ago. And it's really changed the way I've done it. And I just want to get your thoughts. And let me just go to the next slide. It's 2023. So how many of us still have, I said, fire alarm messages sent to the email? So is email, if you're in an environment like maybe a help desk, this wouldn't apply to you because you still have to monitor emails to probably, I would say, for people that have email issues. But there's a lot of other ways that we get these fire alarm, urgent messages. We have Teams and chat now. We get, maybe phone calls or that alert us system on campus. Now, I'll just mention here, this is not a prescription for everybody, but I want to make you aware of some setting options to help improve your work in production, okay? And I know your bosses and everybody will be happy. And I find it more relaxing from people outside the system. That's true. If it's something that somebody outside the university sends you and you have to work on it right away, then yeah. And I'll show you how you can deal with that as well. So here, so if emails don't require our instantaneous response, why do we have email open all day and look at it all day? So we always have it up on our screen, either on another monitor, and we're looking at it all day. As a result of that, sometimes that becomes a black hole of productivity. It takes up our time and interrupts my training process. And I understand this because for years I would have email open and I might be working on something. It's like somebody coming in and interrupted me, right? I might be working on, but email comes in. And it's almost like I drop everything, look at the email and try to come up with a solution or something like that. I answer them back and I kind of lose my train of thought, right? Here it says you might get sucked in the rabbit hole and you're all over the place, all over the trail. Okay. So let me go to the next. So our train of thought, it should be important enough that we don't want to be distracted. So once you're in a train of thought, how can we now deal with email so we're not distracted? So the mindset is, of course, Outlook doesn't control me. You want to control Outlook. So you want to control your production, the way you do things. It shouldn't, like I said, it's kind of like somebody coming in your door, right? If you have your door closed, if you're in have an office, it's nice to be able to close your door and focus on your work. So think of emails as not super critical things. Think of them as possible tasks. So it's a whole different way of thinking. So as email comes in, think of it as a task that you need to do something with. Not something that you have to do right away, but we'll get into that. Okay. So does everybody kind of understand where I'm coming from? So I want this to be more task oriented. So how are we going to do all this? How are we going to start with this email, setting it up as a task? Well, the first thing we have to do is configure Outlook in that method. So let me go ahead and open up my Outlook. And I want to show you what I have done. Okay, I have a new booking here. And you'll see that I don't have anything in my inbox. My other doesn't have anything, but I do have some things that are set up here. But the first thing that I did is I have to go in and configure Outlook. So what I did is, and what they suggest doing, and we did this with the University of Florida, is we go to the file and go to the options, but you just want to get to the settings. Okay, it might be a little different on the Mac. So you want to go into your settings of your Outlook, and we're going to go into Mail. So this is on the Outlook app, and I'll show you. You also have to do the same kind of setting, the one-time setting on the web browser. So here under Mail, it says when messages arrive. I turned all that off. You know, I think by default it might. I know it has some of these, display a desktop alert, so it catches your attention, right? So it might play a sound, and I'm not sure what settings were here before. So you might check your settings here. I have it all deselected because I don't need to know when I get email. Okay, because in my work, we'll talk about this. You know, I have a 24-hour turnaround period. So if I get an email, don't expect anything back. If they need to get a hold of me, I tell them how to get a hold of me. Use Teams, use chat. Okay, if it's something that's urgent, reach out to me that way. But don't expect me to email you back right away. And again, this may not be the case for everybody. So this is the way to put you in the driver's seat. So this is on the desktop app, and let me just show you what is done on the web client. So if I go out to the web, I'm on Outlook on the web. Up here beside your profile, couple over, there's the gearbox, which is your settings. So I'm gonna go to settings, and I'm gonna view all my Outlook settings here. Now here, instead of under the mail, it's actually under the general, because it's your notifications. So under general and notifications, here it says when Outlook is open, notify me. I've deselected that. I did let it remind me when I receive a reminder, because maybe I do have a meeting on my schedule. I definitely want to be reminded of any meetings that I have, or play a sound, even though I probably have it in Teams, but I just want to make sure that I'm notified here. Okay. All right, so now once it was set up, and I'm just going to use the desktop app to demonstrate the rest of this. What I have done, and what I've done is everything that was suggested by the gentleman Microsoft that he's learned over the 25 years. I mean, he made a lot of modifications on how to get this tweak to work the way that satisfies him. And I took this also from, like I said, some colleagues at the University of Florida. So this is what I'm presenting to you. So what I have done is I schedule 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes around noon, and 15 minutes right before I go home to do all my email. So instead of spending all day on email, I spend about 45 minutes a day. So the rest of the time, I can actually focus on the tasks that I have to deal with. So the thing is, I have to set up a rule, but there's 3 things that I do. When I get an email, when I look at it in those 15 minutes, I have a 2-minute rule. I'll either do it, if I can have a quick reply, I can either do it, or something they ask me to do, make it quick. But I need to be able to do it in 2 minutes. I can delegate it, so maybe I just need to forward it on to somebody else. That's ideal for me, but that's not, that you can't always do that. So maybe it's somebody else. So I do it, delegate it, or delay it. So delay it means I can assign a task to myself so I can focus on that task that they're asking me to do. Okay. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. So again, I can have a quick reply. I can schedule it. To schedule, let's say that somebody sent me an email message. And in case you're not familiar with that, let me, I'm waiting on something here. Here's Rob. So Rob sent me something, and maybe this is a task that I can deal with later. Would I be interested? What I could do, I could take that email and I could either drag it to my task, which just looks like a little check mark here. And I can make a task for this, right? So I can set a start time, do that. I actually make a task that I will focus on that email. The other option is I can take it and I can drag it to my calendar, right? So I can calendar an email and say, I'm going to work on this at this, I know it's going to take me at least 30 minutes. And I can set a time where I'm going to work on this email, okay, this task. So when I say email or task, it's in that email. And of course, I can on that other task, I can assign it to somebody else, but I'll just forward it on to them. So this is if it's something that I need to work on. Do I see my changes? No. So that's just if I need to delay it, right? Yeah, delay it. But what I have done, and this is the way I think about it, you can name it however you want. I made up a couple of folders here. I'm named one called noise, which is everything that's not addressed directly to me. I figure if it's something addressed directly to me, and I have a rule set up, and I'll show you that, anything that's addressed directly to me, it'll go to my inbox. Anything else will go to noise, which could be anything. Follow-up is somebody sent me something, and I replied to them, and I'm going to follow up with them later and see if it worked for them and whatnot. But if I just answer a question for somebody, I don't keep that, because if they have more questions, they can reply back to me. Waiting on something. So they've asked me some questions, so I'm waiting to hear back, or maybe they forwarded on to the group. Then I have a waiting on something. So those are the three other sub mailboxes that I use. I use the regular inbox, and then these other ones. All these other ones, I think you're familiar with those. You can drag and drop them, or you can make rules for them. Okay, you can have directly go like Twitter, directly go into the Twitter. I will tell you that this Twitter is from Microsoft Twitter feeds. I'm not out there doing. I don't think I even have Twitter on my phone. So, but those are anything from Twitter goes there, and I can drag and drop them into any kind of Microsoft thing that I do. But I think you all can understand that. So I did create these new folders here to use. Okay. I also take advantage of quick steps. So if you're not familiar with quick steps here, you can create a new quick step and say, I think Tiffany said, well, I get some things from people from the outside. So if that's the case, you could have it alert you if it's just from maybe one company. But if there's a lot of people, then yeah, you'll probably need to check your email more often. But it depends on how you're set up. You can create rules to notify you, or you can even go into a team channel from that one group, because each channel has its own email address. So let me just show you some of the rules that I've created, okay? So I'm going to go up here to File, and I'm going to go to Manage My Rules and My Alerts. So I've set up some rules. When you first set it up, it will take a while, because I didn't realize I get this many rules. Like here's the Twitter, and here's some things across campus. But the last thing I have is one called noise. So this noise rule says for every email that arrives, I want to move it to my noise inbox, except if my name is in the to field or the CC box. Okay, so if I'm directly in that, then leave me in the inbox. Everything else goes into noise. Okay, and this, of course, is the last rule. So I stop processing more rules. We might have a whole talk training just on setting up rules, because sometimes when you set up a new rule, the last thing it adds is stop processing more rules. So you want to make sure your rules are in the order that they need to be in. Okay. Here's one for Sharewell tickets. I have it go directly into Sharewell tickets. I want to go right to trash, but they frown on that. So again, I have a rule that says every email will go into noise, except if my name, my email address is in the to or the carbon copy. So not even if I'm part of a group, that'll go into noise, an email group. And that's something else you need to ask yourself. Are you part of any, I mean, we used to use distribution list a lot. Are you part of any distribution list that you still need to be a part of, right? Because I tell people that, I got off, I think, most all my distribution lists, and I say, if you need me, email me directly. If you're still on a distribution list, then you can make an email, you can make a folder for that distribution list and have it go right into that one. Another thing I've spent a lot of time doing is unsubscribing from all these useless subscriptions, whether or not you have subscribed to them. So that stuff will usually go into the noise. So it takes a while. It's taken me probably 2 or 3 weeks to get unsubscribed, and I still get those occasionally from those spammers. So you want to be careful on unsubscribing from those. Okay. Do you guys have any questions so far on this? Seems like I'm doing all it up. Of course, at the University of Florida on that meeting, there was about 400 people on there. So let me share just another PowerPoint here. Just kind of on some suggestions on getting started. What we need to do, just, email, think of as task oriented. Everything that you receive should be a task. If it's not, you can answer it real quick, or you can either delay it or delegate it, or respond. Or here it says do it, delegate it, respond to it. So think of a task. So you want to use technology to limit technology. You want to focus on things you should be focusing on. Don't get distracted with all the technology that's interrupting you when it shouldn't be. Unsubscribe from useless subscriptions. And the question is, do you still need to be on, if you're on distribution list, see if you still need to be on them, if those are active distribution lists. And if they are, you can create folders and rules to put those, just keep everything out of your root of your inbox. Configure Outlook apps, the desktop and the app, to get you started. Only open email at designated times, 2 to 3 times a day for 15 minutes. So don't spend all day in your email. The 2-minute rule, you either do it for each email that you get within those 15 minutes. You either do it, if you can do it within a couple minutes, delegate it or delay it. Calendar it, set it as a task, and set a time where you can actually focus on that task. And again, the 24-hour window reply, or 24-hour reply window, that's just information that I give my people. I know that's not, you maybe can't always do that, but even if it's a 12-hour, right? If you look at the first thing in the morning, maybe later that day, or at least you can reply back, I've received your email. This is if you are going to work on it later. This is if you're going to delay it. You can either do it, if you have to delegate it, that's up to the other person. If you're going to delay it, you can reply back saying, thank you, I received your email, and I've dedicated this time to working on your issue. So you could reduce that down to maybe even 12 hours if you get it at the end of the day or something. Set up appropriate folders to free up the inbox. We talked about those. Use rules to folders as needed. This one I found interesting. I haven't gone to this yet, but it makes sense. It says delete the email app on your phone. Use only at a computer. So use your email like you said, because when you're traveling, if you're on vacation, you shouldn't be working on it anyway. If you have family, kids or something, they'll appreciate this last one, right? Because I know I have it on my phone, and I set it so it doesn't alert me. I still look and see, okay, I have it like a 3 number there, so I need to look at those emails. But what they suggest doing is only doing it commit to the times of days that you do it on your work, Monday through Friday, right? Depending on your job. I know some of you guys are at the hospital, and maybe that doesn't allow you to do that, but you might have another method that they use at the university that has that alert system, but that's if something's tornado drill, something catches fire. Okay. So while these strategies alone are unlikely to completely empty your folders, that's not really the goal. The most important outcome, I'm just reading this, is the ability to quickly and confidently manage your messages, lower your stress levels, and help you live outside your inbox. And this is the link from Microsoft. They have 6 tips for living outside the box, and some of these I took from that. But again, you want to be able to manage your email, and if we can start thinking of them as tasks. So people are sending us tasks to do. Do we do them right away, or is it somebody else's task, or do I need to schedule those tasks at a more focused time? So,
Greg, I know there's been talk about like keeping the inboxes cleaned out because they're going to delete emails that are older. Do you have a suggestion of how to retain some things either in Teams or somewhere else that are messages that you want to be able to refer back to?
Yeah, so that's a good question. You can keep them in your Outlook. They just can't be in the root of your inbox. So again, I'm sure my screen, I have Outlook here. I have the inbox here. So you can create another folder. Maybe here I have one called Archive. And of course, eventually you might hit over your quota. Is the quota now, is it 15 or 25 gig? I can't remember what the quota is. And I don't know if any of you all know. But as far as anything outside of that, we all know that most of your quota, the storage is because of your attachments. So there was talk about saving your emails to a OneNote, to a PDF. But the problem is the attachments, and that goes along with that. You can certainly drag important files, emails into Teams, because with each team you get 25 terabytes. And I'm glad you asked that, Tiffany. Let me just show you. For those of you all do not know. So here I'm gonna pick out. I have my little personal workspace. So I can send any email to a team, and it will leave the message within the post, and all the files will go underneath the Files tab. So you can, as he says, email messages. So I've drugged some there before, and here's the attachments. You can also set up a rule, as I mentioned, within Outlook, because each of these channels, so if I go here to the DDC5, and if I click on the 3 dots, here it says get email address. So I can get this funny looking email address, and then I can create a rule and say anything of a certain size, move it to here, okay? Or anything with an attachment. And you can make a channel called email attachments. And anybody can create their own team, right? So we can create a team, and but otherwise you'd have to manually move them. You can sort your email by size. I'm just thinking out loud now, Tiffany, because this is something I know campus is working on. What do we do with all this email? And the best way to offload that somewhere. And I'd said these are options that I've given them. I've given them that you could sort them by size, and you can send them into Teams because we have 25 terabytes. I know, like I said, they looked at the PDF, but the attachments were the issue. So, yeah, that's a tough one. It's something that campus is still working on. So I'm sure they'll send something out as soon as if and when they ever find an answer.
So to clarify that I understand you correctly, if I use that send to Teams link at the top of my Outlook, it puts in the post, but also any attachments will become one of my files.
It will. Yep. So let me see if I'm trying to see if I have any files. Let me see if I have something here. Well, let me open this up. I'm trying to see if I have a file with an attachment. So if you have one, oh, here's what's a short attachment. But if I take this and I can just click on this little Teams menu here, and I can say share this to Teams and say what team you want to send it to and what channel. And I'll just say my general one. But it will send this, I'll say include the attachment. So it's going to go into my general channel and I'm going to share it with there. It's on its way. So here is the email. And if I go to my files, it'll create a something called email messages. And this was created the first day that I sent something to it. But if it had, I need to find one with actually an attachment on it, but it will automatically come into here. Yes, because this is just an electronic message here, so it's not. It'll just pull that up. But if it actually has a file, then yes, it'll show it under files. So that's one way you can, like I said, you could create a channel. Here's MU emails. Yeah, so I was showing how you can do PDFs and. Okay. But did that make sense, Tiffany? Did you see how that works?
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. So I know some people, if you work at a help desk, it's, it'd be hard to do this. But I would think the majority of people would be able to take this into consideration and help them refocus on their work and not get distracted by all these emails that are coming in. Because I don't keep my email open except for those times. I open my email back up and then I look at them. Oh, good, that did the trick. Okay. So it looks like I got more noise coming in. So again, this goes out to the help desk. It doesn't deal with me, so I can delete it. And if you guys have any questions, and I know you probably know how to set up rules, but if you need any help setting this up or setting up rules, if you're interested in doing what I've done here, I'd be happy to help you with it. But like I said, I think that the big thing is on getting started is to unsubscribe from anything that you have subscriptions to. And you probably want to do that anyway. Some things that we don't, even if you're not going to do this, think about some subscriptions you're in, unsubscribe from them, any distribution list you're in. I don't even think I'm part of any distribution list, but I used to be part of quite a few when the Division of IT across campus had Landman, and there's a bunch of other ones that they had before. So